Right. Okay.
Go for it.
So we're starting from the beginning again?
What? No, it's we're doing Chazara and Yud Dalad Yud.
Okay. Oh, all right. All right. Because we finished that. Okay. You done. Here we go. Over here. What are you looking at down there? Now, these are the offerings that must be offered on the tabernacle offerings, which were consecrated for the tabernacle. Communal sacrifices must be offered at the tabernacle, while individual offerings may be offered at a minor bama. And individual offerings which were consecrated for the tabernacle must be offered at the tabernacle, but if he offered them at a minor bama, he is not liable. What are the difference between a private bama and a communal bama? Leaning slaughter in the north, application of the blood all around the altar to Nufa, and bringing near. Rabbi Yehuda says Mincha offerings are not brought at a bama, and kahuna, sacred vestments and sacred vessels, pleasing aroma of separation regarding blood and washing the hands and feet, but the disqualification due to the time, intent, nosar, and tame are the same for both.
Okay, okay, so let's start on Menachos.
Can you hear me?
Sorry, I just switched over to my VPN, and there was a brief hiatus in connection.
Now we should be in U-base Gimel. Am I correct?
Well, let's do Menachos first.
First, okay, all right.
Aleph.
Okay. All mincha offerings whose mitzvah was performed for the sake of the designation other than their own are valid, but they are not credited to the owner as fulfillment of his obligation, except for the sinner's mincha offering and the jealousy mincha offering. If one performed the mitzvah of the sinner's mincha offering or the jealousy mincha offering for the sake of the designation other than their own, or if he placed them in a vessel and carried them or burnt them on the altar for a designation other than their own, or their own designation and a designation other than their own, or for designation other than their own as well as their own designation, they are invalid. What is an example of for their own designation and a designation other than their own? For the sake of a sinner's mincha offering and for the sake of a voluntary mincha offering, what an example of for a designation other than their own as well as their own designation? For the sake of a voluntary mincha offering as well for the sake of a sinner's mincha offering. I was hoping the door for the cat. Okay. You're out. Go. There you go. Good boy. No, you're not coming in. You stay out too. Okay. The sinner's mincha offering, as well as any other mincha offering, whose mitzvah is performed by a non-kohen or an onen or a tevel yom, who lacks vestments or who lacks atonement, or whose hands and feet have been not washed, or is uncircumcised, or is atame, or who is sitting, standing upon utensils, or for an animal, or on his falling feet, is invalid. If one performed mitzvah with the left hand, he is invalidated. Then Becerra says he should replace it and perform mitzvah again with the right hand. If he performed mitzvah and a pebble came into his hand, or a grain of salt, or a particle of frankincense, he invalidated it, because they said the chametz which is excessive or deficient is invalid. Which is excessive? One in which he removed a heap of chametz, which is deficient. One in which he performed mitzvah with his fingertips. How does he do it? He extends his fingers over the palms of his hand. Okay.
All right. So more details on the halacha of taking the kmitza. Riba shamna. If you put too much oil, there's a certain measure of oil, which is a log of oil for every isaron of flour, so that it mixes to the correct consistency. Okay.
Okay.
So if you put too much oil, or too little oil, it's going to get into the wrong consistency. Chisar levona says. So if it's one of the flour offerings that needs to be brought with frankincense, then there's a certain measure of it's shnei kratim levona. A koret is, I think, is like a teaspoon. I think is something. Okay, v'lo nasan ela koret echad, and he gave too little frankincense. It's also puzzle. Okay, it doesn't give an upper shear for the frankincense in the Mishnah, but there actually is an upper shear, which Kahati explains over here is two kamatzim of levana. In other words, if it doubles the amount of the flour that's going in with it.
Okay.
Hakometz is a mincha lechol she'areh b'chutz. So now, just like we said with the Zavachim, we have the puzzle intentions. So thinking of with the Zvachim, it was thinking of eating it outside or burning it outside, or thinking of eating it tomorrow or burning it tomorrow. So all of these things cause it to be puzzle, and in the case of chutz lizmano, it becomes pigul. Okay, so we're going to see exactly the same thing with Menachos. Okay, hakometz es mincha le'echol she'areh b'chutz, or kazais mishe'areh b'chutz. If he takes the kometz thinking that he's going to eat the remnant outside, or at least a kazais of the remnant outside, or lahaktir komtze b'chutz, or kazais mi komtze b'chutz, or he's going to burn the kometz outside, or at least a kazais of the kometz outside. Or
the frankincense. This
is the flour itself. This
okay.
is the flour itself.
Says here, unless
you may be jumping ahead, because the next thing is or burning its frankincense outside, pasul, be'ein bo kares. Right, so that's a pasul sacrifice, but there's no kares for eating it. Le'echol she'areh lemachar, but if he thinks that outside the time, or kazais mishe'areh lemachar, or at least a kazais of the remnants tomorrow, lahaktir kumtze lemachar, or kazais mi kumtze lemachar, or lahaktir levonas lemachar. Any of these actions that we described above, doing them tomorrow, pigul v'chayvin alav kares, and that is a pigul intention. So, we're going to follow exactly the same pattern as we did with Zvachim. Kol hakom is yaklal. So your general rule is kol hakometz v'nosin b'kli v'hamalech v'hamaktir. So you got your four actions: taking the kmitza, putting it into a kli, carrying it through the azara, and burning it on the mizbeach. Okay. Lechol davar shedaka lechol. In order to eat something that is meant to be eaten, lahaktir davar shedaka lahaktir, or to burn something that is normally burned. Chutz limkomo. If it's outside the place, it's pasul, but there's no kares. Chutz lizmano pigul v'chayvin alav kares, and outside the time it is pigul. Okay, bilvad sheyikrav hamatir k'mitzvaso, but as long as the matir is done correctly, other than the pigul is 100% okay, other than the pigul intention. Okay, keitzad karev hamatir k'mitzvaso, exactly as we said with Zvachim. Kamatz b'shtika v'nasan b'kli v'hilech v'hiktir chutz lizmano. If he just took the kmitza and then put it into the kli, or carried it or burned it, having the thought of chutz lizmano, or he took the kmitza thinking outside the time, and nasan b'kli v'hilech v'hiktir b'shtika, and he did the rest, everything stam quietly without any specific intention. Or he did the entire thing thinking he was going to do the action outside the zman. That is the situation where they have where the matir was done correctly, other than the pigul. Okay. And how is it not done kamitzvaso? If he did the kmitza thinking that he's going to eat it outside, so he messes up the place. And he put it into a kli, or carried it, or burned it thinking chutz lizmano. Or he did the chutz lizmano first, and then the chutz limkomo. Or he did the whole thing thinking chutz limkomo. Right, minchas chote, minchas kanaos shekamatzan shelo lishman, or he one of these things that becomes puzzle if you think about it, shelo lishmo, right? With the kevenasan bekli v'hilech v'hiktir chutz lizmanan, and then he did something else that was that had a pigul intention, or shekamatz chutz lizmanan, or he took the kmitza outside the time, and nasan bekli v'hilech v'hiktir shelo lishman, or he did one of the other actions without it at the time, or shekamatz nasan v'kli v'hilech v'hiktir shelo lishman, zehu shelo karav hamatir k'mitzvah. So that's where the matir was not done properly, and therefore pigul doesn't take effect. Remember, pigul only takes effect if everything else was done correctly. Lechol kazais b'chutz v'kazais lemachar. kazayis lemachar v'kazayis b'chutz. If you had intention to eat one kazayis outside, one kazayis tomorrow, or the other way around, kechatzi zayis b'chutz, kechatzi zayis lemachar, or half zayis outside, and a half zayis tomorrow, kechatzi zayis lemachar v'chatzi zayis b'chutz, or in a reverse order. Pasul v'ein bo kares. It's pasul, yes, but there's no kares involved. Amar Rabbi Yehuda. So just as Rabbi Yehuda said with zvachim, he says the same thing here with menachos. The aklal, your general rule is im machsheves hazman kadma lechamachsheves hamakom pigul l'chayvim alav kares. He says once the pigul has taken hold of it, you can't take away the pigul by having a chutz lizman intention. This is Rabbi Yehuda's opinion as it was in zvachim. Okay. The Chachamim disagree and say no. This is it does lose its pigul if you then have a chutz lizmano intent at some later stage. So the pigul can be undone. However, if you mix intentions with a half zayis, half a share of to eat and half a zayis to burn. Kasher she'ein achilu haktara mitztarfin. So eating and burning do not join together to make a full shear. Okay, so this is basically exactly the same as what we saw with Zvachim, just translated into Menachos. Okay, perek base. Hakometz es hamincha le'echol she'aria lahaktir kumtza lemachar. Okay, so he takes a kmitza of a mincha offering, and has intention to eat the remaining flour, right? That's what the kohanim normally eat. Or lahaktir kumtza lemachar, okay, or he wants to burn the komets tomorrow outside this month. So okay, that's no chiddush over here. Modi Rabbi Yossi b'zeshu pigul v'chayvin alav kares. So Rabbi Yossi agrees over here that this is pigul and you get kares for it. And of course, now that we just said this, okay, what would Rabbi Yossi disagree with about this? And the Mishnah goes on to tell you, lahakti levona salamachar. If he has intention just to burn the frankincense tomorrow, right? He's cool with burning the regular flour, the flour that is going to go today, but he feels like he says, I don't have the levona. Let me burn the levona tomorrow. Rabbi Yossi Omer pasul va'ein bo kares. Okay, he says that the levana does not create a pigul in the flour, whereas Chachamim omrim pigul chayvim alav kares. The Chachamim say that the levana is an integral part of the matir, and if you have das to bring the levana tomorrow, you created a pigul. And Rabbi Yossi says it's a separate issue. Amrulo. They said
I don't understand that. If he has levana to bring the levana, kavana to bring the levana tomorrow, how does
the only thing that he wants to bring tomorrow is the levana? So everyone agrees.
I'm getting terms mixed up. Levana, we say kiddush levana on a move.
Levana is frankincense.
Right. Okay. So levana, it's spelled differently.
Yes, with a vav in the middle.
Well, okay. All right.
Yeah, levana. Okay. Okay, so levana is if the guy has the intention to bring just the levana tomorrow, according to Chachamim, that's pigul. According to Rabbi Yossi, it's just a pasul, but no kares. Amrulo. So the Chachamim said to Rabbi Yossi, how is this different from a korban, right? Or from a korban of an animal, right? Because what's the thing with the korban of an animal? If you have intention to bring the amorim, the entrails of that are going onto the mizbeach, if you have intention to bring that tomorrow, even you agree that that's going to be pigul,
right?
And that's not the part that's being eaten, and you sprinkled the blood or whatever. But it's not. Why would you make a distinction over here with Menachos? Okay, Amalahim she'azevach damo ubesaro ve'emorav echad. Why? Because when you come to an animal, the blood and the flesh and the entrails are all from one guf. So therefore, it's the same thing. So if you have intention for the entrails to be wrong, then I agree that's called a pigul. But levana eno mina mincha. It's a completely different species. It's not something that comes from the flour. It's an add-on. And because it's just an add-on, it doesn't cause a pigul. However, halacha follows the chachamim. Okay, those are the new ones for today. Let's go back to Zvachim.
There's one thing about Hebrew, one letter. It gets me all the time.
Oh, I mean, you get that in English too.
I know, but it's
in English. I mean, you've heard the thing, punctuation saves lives.
No, I haven't heard that.
Grandma versus let's eat, grandma.
Right, yeah, you told me that, right? I know. Guess we all know. All right, so we have we're back into
Zvachim Yud Beis, yeah, Yud Beis Gimel.
Okay. The hides of the offering of lesser holiness belong to the owners of the offering, while the hides of the most holy offerings belong to the Kohanim. This can be demonstrated by means of Kal V'Koma. If, in the case of an Ola offering in which they do not acquire the right to its meat, yet they acquire the right to its hide, then in the case of the most holy offerings in which they do acquire the right of its meat, does it not follow they acquire the right to its hide? The altar cannot serve as a refutation since it does not receive the hide at all. All offerings which were invalidated prior to their being flayed, the hides do not belong to the Kohanim. After they were flayed, the hides belong to the Kohanim. Said Rebbe Chanina, the administrator of Kohanim, in all my days I never saw hide being taken out to the place of burning. Rebbe Akiva says, from his words we learn that when who flays a bakor and is then found to be tretrefa, the Kohanim may benefit from its hide. But the Kohanim say we have not seen it as a proof. Rather, it is taken out to the place of burning. The bulls that are burned and the he-goats that are burned, where they are burned according to the proper procedure, they are burned in the place of ashes and they contaminate garments with tumah. But when they are not burned according to the proper procedure and are burned to the place burned in the palace precinct and they do not contaminate garments with tumah. Okay. Good. Okay. That's one more.
That's correct. No, that's it.
Okay. Frankincense does have a special thing about it. We always talk about frankincense, adding frankincense. This just seems to be special, other than the other spices.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's brought in the Torah that it has to accompany most of the mincha offerings, at least, not all of them.
Okay, we are at Arios, base hay. They are not liable to a sacrifice for the sin of hearing the voice of adjuration, nor for the ordering on oath of the lips, nor for the tumah contamination of the temple or its consecrated articles. The king is like them. These are the words of Rabbi Yossi Agili. Rabbi Akiva says the king is liable for all of them, except for hearing the voice of adjuration, for the king may not judge nor be judged. He may not testify nor be testified against. For all the commandments of the Torah, for which one is liable for willful transgression to Karis, and for inadvertent transgression to the sin offering, an individual offers a she-lamb or a she-goat, and the king offers a he-goat, and the anointed Cohen and the court offer a bull. For idolatry, the individual, the king, and the anointed Cohen offer a she-goat, and the court offers a bull, and a goat as a bull offering, and a bull as a burnt offering, and the he-goat as a sin offering. Yeah. With regard to an Ashem Talib, the individual and the king are liable, but the anointed Kohen and the court are exempt. With regard to the definite guilt offering, the individual, the king, and the anointed Kohen are liable, but the court is exempt. For the sin offering, the hearing of adulation or the utterance of an oath of the lips or the tumah contamination of the temple or its consecrated articles, the court is exempt. But the individual, the king, and the anointed Kohen are liable. For the King Gadol is not liable for tumah contamination of the temple or its consecrated articles. Where these are the words of Red Shimon. What do they offer? The variable sin offering. Rabbi Eliezer says the king offers a he-goat.
Okay.
All right.
Shavuos.
Okay, we have Dalad Yudala. If he said to two, I adore you, so and so, that you, if you know testimony from me, that you come and testify for me. And they replied, we swear that we do. Should we don't, right?
Yeah,
we
do
don't.
not.
Right. We do not note any testimony for you, and they know hearsay testimony, or one of them was a relative or a person ineligible to testify, they are exempt. If he was sent the adjuration through the slave, or if the attendant said to them, I adore you, that if you know testimony for him, that you come and testify for him, that they are exempt unless they hear it from the claimant. If he says, I adore you, I command you, I bind you, they are liable. By heaven and earth, they are exempt. By Alphabet, by Yehuda Hay, by Shaddai, the Sivaos, by the gracious, compassionate, by the slow to anger, abundant kindness, or with any of the substitutions, they are liable. Should anyone blaspheme any of them, he is liable. They are the words of Remeah, but the sages exempt him. One should curse his father. Should one curse his father or mother by any of them, he is liable. These are the words of Remeah, and the sages exempt him. Should one curse himself or a neighbor by any of these, he transgresses the negative commandment. May God smite you, or so may God smite you. This is the verse written in the Torah. May he not smite you, or may he bless you, or may he benefit you, or may he declare him liable, or the sages exempt him. Okay. We have
Nedarim. Hey.
What is something of the pilgrimage from Babylon? Things like the Temple Mount, the Purple Court, and the well in the middle of the highway. What is something of that city? Things like the public square, the bathhouse, the synagogue, the ark, and the books. One who assigns his shares to the president, Rabbi Yehuda says, both one who assigns it to the president and one who assigns to an ordinary person. What is the difference between one who assigns to the president and one who assigns to an ordinary person? The one who assigns to the president need not give it to someone to take possession on behalf of the president. The sages, however, say both this one and that one must give their share to someone to take possession on their behalf. They spoke of the president but only to reflect the current practice. Rabbi Yehuda says the people of Galil need not assign, since their fathers have already assigned for them. If someone is prohibited by a neder to benefit from another and he has nothing to eat, the other person may give him something else as a gift, and he is permitted to it. It happened that a person in Beit Koren, whose father was prohibited by a neder to benefit from him, was marrying off his son. He said to another, "This courtyard or banquet are given to you as a gift, but yours only as the father can come to eat and with us at a banquet." He replied, "They are mine, and they are dedicated to heaven." He said, "I did not give you what was mine in order for you to deliver it to heaven, dedicated to heaven." He replied, "You gave me yours only so that you and your father could eat and drink and approach each other, and the sin should be on my head." When the matter came before the sages, they said, any gift which is not sincere, which is not sanctified, which is not sacred, is not a gift. One who makes a neder prohibiting what is cooked is roasted. One who makes a neder prohibiting what is cooked is permitted what is roasted and what is overcooked. He said, Kohanim cooked food with respect to anti-tasting. He is forbidden to taste soft food made in a pot, but is permitted to taste solids. He is permitted to taste soft-boiled egg and gourd.
Okay.
Baked in the house. Okay.
That's a shiny.
Okay. If Ma'aser Sheni was supported to Yerushalayim because became unclean, whether it by an avatuma or by a yad.
Hold on. We're in Mishna Yud.
Yud. Okay, sorry. If what was brought with Ma'aser Sheni money became unclean, it may be redeemed. Rabbi Yehuda says it may be buried. They said to Rabbi Yehuda, if Ma'aser Sheni itself redeemed, rendering unclean, may be redeemed, then which was bought with Ma'aser Sheni money should be certainly be redeemable. And he said to them, not so. If you say it's concerning Ma'aser Sheni itself, that which when clean may be redeemed is a distance. Will you say so concerning that brought with Ma'aser Sheni money, which when clean may not be redeemed as a distance? If a deer brought with Ma'aser Sheni money died, it must be buried with its hide. Rabbi Shimon said it may be redeemed. If one brought it alive and slaughtered it and became unclean, it must be redeemed. Rabbi Yossi says it must be buried. If one brought it slaughtered and it became unclean, it is like produce. And if one leads jars for Ma'aser Sheni, one lends jars. Oh man. If one lends jars for Ma'aser Sheni though he sealed them, the Ma'aser Sheni does not acquire. If he poured them into without specifying before he sealed them, the Ma'aser Sheni does not acquire. After he sealed them, Ma'aser Sheni. Before he sealed them, they are offset in 101, and after he sealed them, they render holy any quantity. Before he seals them, he may act aside to truma from once and all. After he sealed them, he must set aside from each one. Boy, I can't wait today.
Nigai.
Right. I am can't give them. The
Mhm.
positive hair. Akiva ben Mahalo rules the tummy and sages rule the tahor. What is the positive hair? Someone who has a Baharis with white hair. Baharis disappeared, leaving the white hair in place, and subsequently returned. Akiva ben Mahalo's rules deposited hair to be tummy, and the sages rule the tahor. Rabbi Akiva said, I agree with this case as tahor because it is not deposited hair. What is deposited hair? Someone had a Baharis the size of a grist that contained 2 white hairs. The Baharis revealed half a grist, leaving the white hair on the remaining Baharis and subsequently returned. He said to them, just like Akiva's opinion is regarded, so is your opinion upheld. Any doubt concerning the guy religiously ruled tahor, as long as the afflicted person has not been all confirmed tamei, once the afflicted person has been returned tamei, a doubt is ruled tamei. How so? 2 people came to a kohen, one with a Baharis the size of a grist and one with a Baharis the size of a cellar. At the end of the week, both Baharis are the size of a cellar, and it is one known which is the one that spread. Whether both Baharis are on one person or on 2 people, both each Baharis is with tahor. Akiva says with 1 person it is tamei, and with 2 people it is tahor. One is afflicted. Once the afflicted person has been confirmed tamei, a rule of doubt. A doubt is ruled tamei. However, 2 people came to a kohen, one with a Baharis the size of a grist and the other with a Baharis the size of a cellar. If at the one end of the week both Baharis are larger than the cellar, they both become confirmed tamei. If both become, even if both, the guy revert the size of a cellar, both remain tamei until they both become as small as a grist. This is what is said. Once the afflicted person has been confirmed tamei, his doubt is ruled tamei.
Okay, and that's it.
Well, I can't read today.
Okay.
I'm tired. Mr. Colebrook, I will see you tomorrow, Wednesday. Okay, great.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.